G'day guys, welcome to Life on the Hulls and another big week here in the Hull. I've basically been finishing up underneath the large portside companionway. Now this is a double stair module that basically cascades down into the portside hull, and there's been quite a lot of work involved in getting this ready to put in. It's been a big week. I've had to start to think about the conduits that are going to run along this chine here, all of the electrics. It's actually quite an exciting time for me because I'm starting to get electrical diagrams out, starting to work out where things should go, where they might go, where they could possibly go into the future. So lots coming up as we head forward into probably a more interesting part of the build for a lot of you, so much so that you know, the fiberglassing's reducing, but the logistics and the challenges are starting to really mount up, and can be a touch overwhelming for a budding young boat builder like myself. Not young anyway, but this week got a pretty big week coming up. A lot of work to be done, adding a access hatch to the water tank, gluing down the floor over the top of the tank. So there's plenty to come. A lot of it's going to be prep and continued on over the next few episodes to get me to where I am now, in a very solid state environment where I can walk around safely and not too much of that shimmying up and down that frickin' chamfer panel. But once that module's in, and I'm hoping next Tuesday, it's Friday now, I'm gonna get that locked down here. I've got really good access. I've got stairs on both sides, or companionways on both sides of my hull. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it. Please share it out, because that way YouTube recognizes that it's reasonable content. If you think it's okay, give it a like. And you know, thanks to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. You know, for you to pay to watch a video a few days early and to get that composite shop videos free 3 months early, that's just brilliant for me, because it allows me to continue on with these videos. Thanks for joining me. Let's get into it. So I've just dragged out the template, this one here, which was the template for this bulkhead here, which I actually made a year and a half ago. So I haven't seen this template for about a year and a half. To get it out was a bit of a battle. I had to move about 30 kayaks out of the way because I had it right against the back wall. But what I need this for, and it would have been easier just to get a toggle stick out of my chain jig again, I need it to make a small bulkhead here for this cupboard that goes in underneath this module here. So I've basically, the amount of effort to get it out probably wasn't worth the result. So this little bulkhead here, it's only going to be about this big, but what it is, it's the internal partition of the robe, and it stops anything from falling. If I put something on a shelf or something, fall down into here where I'm sitting down here in the bilge. And yeah, I'm back in the bilge. It's been a bit of a come down for me to go from working up at waist height up there to back in the bilge here, but this is essential work. I'm prepared to spend a bit of time in here. One thing's for sure, I'm going home at night. My legs are killing me from climbing out of here. I've had 3 days down in here now, and yeah, the old thighs and the knees are starting to hurt again. But this template, which is the bulkhead about 2 feet forward of it, or around 60 centimeters forward of this bulkhead here, is almost identical. It's actually the same side hole profile, but what it isn't, it certainly is not the same down in here. So I could do a couple of different things. I could do what I've done before and use that shape maker jig, which is pretty simple. Just lay it on there, extrapolate it onto the actual bulkhead, and then you know, increase the profile with some cardboard underneath. The other options, obviously, toggle stick. I've had this for some time. It's actually a foam core one. I don't know many guys have got a foam core toggle stick, but with this one, the key is having these little notches cut out of it so that you can actually get the exact position and replicate it. And the idea is that we're going to do a point here, draw the outline, a point here, draw the outline, a point here, draw the outline, a point here, 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 here. So there's a number of different ways. In the past I've used the chain jig, and then I've used the shape maker jig, and I've done a lot of CAD, a lot of cardboard aided design. But you know, this thing, for a simple little one like this, well worth using. It's like a 5-minute job with a toggle stick. You get the idea, so that when I get it laid down on another piece of material, i.e. my foam, I can get the exact representation. So Just shows you how used to using foam I am. I'm used to picking up a sheet like that and go, this stuff like this MDF, it's dense and it's heavy and it's just shit, but it's good for templating. It's about the only good use of it though. Okay, this is actually a pretty good fit, but there is a lesson here with the toggle stick is make hundreds of toggle stick measurements, because what I failed to do with that toggle stick was really develop that curve there. You can see it's actually getting caught up there. So you need to almost do one every 5 millimeters or so if you're doing a complex curve like this area here. That is where that shape maker jig shines. It gives you the exact profile for small items. I wish I had one 4 foot long. I mean, if they develop one 4 or 5 foot long, it'd have to be, you know, 30 centimeters in width, but they would be amazing. And I can't believe that someone hasn't already bought one out. I think it won't be long before we see a bigger version of that shape maker jig that you can buy online on Instagram and Facebook and the like. But you know, for the 20 bucks that cost me, it saved me $20 I think the first time I used it in time. So that is where things like toggle sticks, chain jigs, shape maker jigs, form gauges, all of these things really are developed to save time and just higher level of accuracy. But yep, I'll just fix that up and I'll be done. Climbing. It started again. The friggin' climbing. I mean, honestly, the last 3 days, I swear, I've been up and down that mother about 400 times. It is fucking eroding me. Eroding me. Eroding me. Sorry about my little outpost there. Just had to happen. I just far out. I just can't get over the effort. That metre high step is probably the only thing keeping me from having a heart attack, you know. It's probably going to give me a heart attack, but it is keeping me pretty fit. I'm going to close up this floor, just put this floor back down because it's so dangerous. I'm going to fall down there, break my bloody leg because I'm sliding up and down this chamfer panel. I've got new boots. Look at them, they're already trashed. They're Rossies, they're Aussie made Rossies. Rossi's got Rossi boots. But the danger level is heightening. I had a bit of epoxy on the wall there that I spilt yesterday and I failed to clean it up. And I hit it this morning and I almost ended up down in that hole again. Look, I'm going to put this floor down, back on a new level and just let it sit there for a while I deal with up this end, because I've got quite a bit to do up in here, i.e. the tank hatches, the floor down here has to be glassed down, and then I've got to work on this cabinetry here. So there's a fair bit to do up in this area before I can move forward with this fuel tank floor. Okay, good progress. I'm just going to whack all this sort of back together so that increase my safety level a little bit. Because it's definitely an ankle or a leg breaker down here before I fall. So yeah, that's just perfect, and I've achieved my height increase with not too much effort, which is nice. There we go. Beautiful. Lunchtime. Had a bit of a philosophy during this entire build, and that is have good access. I've tried to circumvent it here with this hatch here. I have a diagonally cut floor piece that actually cuts across. It's given me really good access into the water tank, into my feeder lines, my breather valves, and my draw lines. But what I don't have is in the end of the water tank here. Now over on the starboard side, I put in a small 5-inch hatch in that side of the water tank because there is a baffle along the center line here. Very important that I can actually access that. There's nothing worse than opening up a tank after years of service and the thing's full of mold and you realize you've been drinking out of it. I want to be able to check that periodically just to see if, firstly, if I'm full or empty. I know the sender's going to be in here, but I also want to be able to check the quality of my water and make sure that it is sound at all times. So putting that hatch in there is absolutely critical for double baffled tank that I have here. So I'm going to actually install a hatch right here in the center line of this tank. There will be access to it through the floor of this stair module. I'm going to put in an access hatch there. So I've got multiple points of access right throughout this boat. Very, very important. So I can get a torch in there, check it out, make sure it's clean, make sure it's not full of mold, and make sure I haven't got any contaminants inside my fresh water supply. I've got to admit, I had to scrounge around to find these templates again. That cardboard template that I have there is actually the internal diameter of the rim. So this rim here, which I've actually drilled the screw holes in, is actually the internal diameter of the hatch itself. Now you notice here, that is going to be positioned in the center line of the hatch because this is where the hatch access will be over the top of it in the sole of the boat. But this one here is actually offset, and the reason why is because there's a panel that comes across here, and this is actually underneath the shower recess. So I've got good access underneath the shower in my head, and then this one here will be straight in the middle of the actual tank here, again allowing good access down inside. So I'm going to get into doing that right now, and then I'll be able to work on installing this one and this one permanently, getting it all Sikaflexed in, screwed in place, and basically sound. I do have a lot of work to do because I have to seal the internal epoxy rim, epoxy around the inside of the foam there when I drill this hole through, like I've done here on this part of the tank. So lots to do here before I can even move forward with thinking about getting this sole down here. So the given here is that the baffle is at the midpoint of the tank, which is at 550 mils from the forward end. So the other thing I need to do then is work out the middle, which is actually at 2750, which is here, and then I'll find the center point, and then I'll locate the hatch right there. Alright, so this hatch is now cut, and I've just trimmed it so that it's fitting perfectly inside the hole that I've drilled. Now remembering these holes that are around here I've actually drilled myself, so they're possibly a little bit off center. So very, very importantly, you need to make one of them your key. And I usually use this one here at the front, and that means that if I put that one back in exactly the same spot, I know that these holes that I'm about to drill are going to line up. Very important you do that, because there's nothing worse than putting it on, taking it away, bringing it back after I've done all this filling the epoxy with the holes and doing the internal foam core. I need to make sure that I'm using the same original hole every time to make sure that all my holes are going to line up. Oh, I'm bleeding all over the top of the tank here. Oh, fair dink, I've just slipped and took a massive chunk out of my knee on the razor sharp epoxy on the edge of this bloody hatch. So yeah, the blood, sweat, swearing and tears continues. It's been a brutal day. I've cut myself I've got a gash on my hand here. Look at that guy there. And this one, that's all in a day's work here on the holes. It's brutal, but my knees are killing me. But there's blood all over the top of this thing now. I'm gonna have to have a bit of a clean up after this, but yep, that's just part of it. Absolutely brutal day. I'm feeling it today. With that combined with the climbing, all the cuts and bruises that I've had, I've got a couple of knocks, but you know, I go home every night. Whenever I can walk home, I'm happy. Okay, so very important, that screw must never come out until I actually install the entire thing. These hatch openings, what I've done is I've actually got packing tape underneath the holes, and I'm going to fill the holes as I did with the other side, with the starboard side. I'm going to fill each of the screw holes here with epoxy, and then I'm going to fill this core here with epoxy as well, so that the glass on both sides of the sandwich are actually seamed with epoxy, and that way it'll stop any chance of any water ingressing into that foam and delaminating my top. It's very unlikely, but it could happen. So that'll be cored. It's already been sanded out now, and it's basically coved so that it will accept the epoxy in there. Fill all the holes, let it sit overnight for a couple of days, and then I'll be able to come back and ultimately be able to then drill the holes and fit these hatches in for good. It's been a good couple of weeks sliding up and down the chamfer panel, and I'm remembering how tough it was down in the bilges here. So this week my whole focus is on getting out of these bilges. If I can get this sole down here right underneath this water tank and over here, I'll be a very happy man. So it's time to do the water tanks. Finish off this port side water tank. Yeah, so I'm just cleaning up these holes, and I'm glad I put the black plastic into the tanks, because there's so much shit in there now from all the work I've done in here. It's unbelievable. But yeah, so I'm just going to clean up. I've drilled all the holes and we're ready to go. Alright, we're into it. We've got the holes are cored and they're ready for... Here we go. I'm going to get into a mess again here. But should have done that one first, because now I'm going to be kneeling in it.
Good thinking, boss.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Sharp as a bowling ball.
Not really. It's stupid. A blowout. We're only talking about water anyway here.
So it's more an inspection hatch.
Yeah, it's only inspection, so I can clean out that cavity. It's finally the moment when I get to put in the sole on top of this water tank. I've had to actually put in a shim all the way round the rim here, because of the raised floor that's underneath me here over the fuel tank, because that's actually been raised now by around about 28 mil. So I'm having to do the same here, which I knew had to happen so that I can interface it here with this floor here. So that's going to get epoxied in now, and once that's in place I can then consider getting this thing all tidied up. We've actually come to the conclusion from previous photographs of the build while it was in production that this floor panel here is totally unnecessary. The bathroom actually sits on this sole here and then on another ridge that runs across here, allowing good access to within this hatch and into the build here, and obviously my through holes are in the bottom of the hull here, so there's plenty to think about. I'm going to get this part glued down today, and that'll allow me to go forward in this area here. Okay, so I'm going to glue this floor down. It's socks on only, because I don't want to damage the surface, which I've just given another clean, a bit of a sand just to tidy it up. But I'm going to use this packing tape again underneath these composite angles, just so I don't get any spill through of the epoxy. So once again, I made a couple of little adjustments in here. I've put some shims in here because I just needed to get the levels exactly right, given that I've lifted the sole just behind me here by this much. I've had to basically lift this slightly to get it to all blend in, so that when I put this head in place, it's actually on the right position. It's actually dead square with the rest of the other areas that I consider to be dead square. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to be square, but it's square relative to how I'm building the boat. here we go. Sit that in there like that, and like that. So this piece is now down and it's dead level. The only thing is I have a little bit of a hump here where I've just lost a little bit of level here on this floor here, but I'm going to sand this back and fair these two joints. This line here is where our head intersects, so there's going to be an upright, like a step here, that's going to then intersect to the underside of this head here. It's taken a lot of working out, but it's going to be a 30mm wide piece of foam that is going to be glassed, or actually in fact glued to the bottom of the head, and then stepped into this section here. So I can put my boots back on now because I'm unlikely to walk anywhere where I'm going to make it dirty. But what I need to do is just give that a bit of a kick, and then I'm going to screw it down all the way around and leave it for the day. And then I'll come back tomorrow. In fact, I might come back the day after tomorrow because I think I'm going to Sydney tomorrow, but I'm going to jam this up in there, get this all glued in, then I can come back and I can fill it all the way around here and fill that gap there. I'll probably stove that out and then come along here, and then I can tab this entire region all the way down up here, complete this, tab it all in, and then it'll be a forever moment, and I'm pretty happy to have it glassed down. That one has been a bit of a thorn in my side because it's a bit of an awkward position. We've actually worked out I can remove these pieces of angle here because this area here isn't going to have a sole, because it's actually going to have this section overhanging it, and I've realised that better access is gained by having less sole, and if I don't need a sole, I'm not going to have it. Basically, like any boat, if you've got a sole, then you're obviously going to have to hole saw it out and get into it. I just want to leave this section here free of any hazards so that I can actually get to the bilge, get to that hatch, and ultimately get to this blackwater hatch here. But this is going to have a hatch cut in here, which is actually going to be in this section here. Go for like days where I don't feel like I do anything, and then I get something like that done, I just go, boo-ah, happy, happy days.